Okay, so thanks so much for joining us today here, Casey. Now, you have had an incredible career and you're part of an industry that's growing at such a scale that we've never seen before. This year, Deloitte report said that women's sport could generate more than $1 billion US around the world, which just blows my mind. Did you ever imagine it be like this when you were a kid just starting out?
Well, to be honest, no, not really. I think I've been very fortunate to be involved in a sport like tennis that I feel has led the way for a long time. And I was very fortunate to have exposure, a career that propelled, me to heights that I always dreamt of as a kid. But in saying that, when I was a kid, did I think that that would be the case? Probably not. I had probably more dreams of playing AFL footy, which I ended up not being allowed to play after a certain age because that's when girls kind of stopped playing the sport. But tennis was a very inclusive sport from a very young age. Boys and girls could obviously both play. And yeah, I just was fortunate that, I've lived pretty much my whole life in a sport like tennis that, has genuinely led the way and given me a really good life.
So when you look around at the world today, I mean, we're seeing women kick it in soccer, tennis, footy. How does it feel for you as someone that's been there in the industry?
Well, it's long awaited, isn't it? And I think it's just so, the way of the future. And I also have a young daughter now and I've got 2 sons. And so I think having a lens through their eyes, and for them, sport is just sport now. They just see, sport on telly, whether it be, women's footy or the Matildas or whoever it might be, or Ash Barty. And that's just for them. They just see women playing sport and they don't know anything different. So, look, I think it's long awaited. It's just brilliant to see the amount of investment that's gone into women's sport, and it's proven that when you do invest, you're going to get a good product, and that's what we've all been waiting for. So, look, we still have a long way to go, I believe. There's still, many ways that we can always be better for the future of our, women and girls in sport, but we've certainly made a lot of headway.
Now, you started out in tennis. You commentate a lot of the games now, so you're the voice. If you're listening now, you're going, hey, I've heard that voice before. That's why. But Casey, what actually got you into tennis when you were little? How did you what sparked the dream?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Perth, Western Australia. So I grew up with a very sporty family. Both of my parents were highly engaged in community sports, so it was natural for me to go down to the local footy clubs with my dad and then to the local tennis club with my mum. My mum and my nan, who are 2 of the most incredible women and my inspiration, were probably the ones that drew me to tennis. They were volunteers at my local tennis club, Kingsley Tennis Club, which is where I grew up, and they honestly just built this passion for tennis. I used to go down to the local courts and spend my weekends there. I would see them getting involved in helping around the club, and it kind of just sparked a love for tennis. Probably at that point I didn't know what life was going to, give me in terms of opportunities that, I've had in tennis, but it was definitely a very family inherited thing to play sport in our family, and that's kind of all we did. And I played a lot of different sports, but it was tennis that I guess got me in the end for the love of the game.
What's one moment when you thought, oh my gosh, like this is going to be a big thing, a big step for you in your career?
Yeah, it's a good question, because obviously now having retired, you reflect upon a lot of decisions and things that happen. And I was probably around the age of 14 or 15. So I would say probably a bit more later bloomer than a lot of sometimes athletes now that seem to specialise at a younger age. But I got offered an opportunity to go to the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra at the time, and it was a big step for me because I was a real homebody, loved just being in Perth, a girl that just went to school. But then I got this amazing opportunity to really forge a career in tennis. So it was a big risk for myself, I guess, as a young teenage girl, but also my parents to say, let their daughter kind of go to the east coast of Australia and really try and, live out a dream really in the end. So I think that was probably the biggest moment. And I actually, left Perth when I was about 15 and I never went back. I just had one goal, and that was to become a professional tennis player, and that's what I did.